Wait, hold on.
Birdman.
Birdman.
We're talking about Birdman today on what would we call this?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure that out later. We'll figure that out later. We're talking today about Birdman, the new movie starring
Birdman or the unexpected ignorant virtue
of ignorance.
So something like that. It's a long.
The unexpected virtue of ignorance.
Yeah, Birdman or the unexpected virtue of ignorance.
Your choice, America. Yeah. You decide.
Yes. Which one do you like better?
Yes. So we're talking about Birdman, starring Michael Keaton, directed by Alejandro Inarritu.
Yeah.
Inarritu,
that guy.
Actually.
The dude. And the cinematographer from Gravity.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, they got Mexicans at the wazoo making this movie. No Mexican characters in the movie. That was a little bit...
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
We like to tell people what to do. That's what we enjoy doing.
Well,
that's why we stay behind the camera.
You did a good job.
I will totally take all the credit.
Yeah, because you are Mexican, you will take credit for the brilliance of the movie.
I will take full credit for what I think is probably one of the most... I think it's the most ambitious and, like, the most heartfelt, the most artistic, the most expressive film of the year. Honestly.
Expressive?
As in, like, I feel as though art is an expression of emotion. Therefore, I feel this movie was him expressing a lot. He covered so many themes, so many different topics, all of them enjoyable. But before we get into all that, I think we should talk about what the movie's about.
What the movie is about, Birdman, starring Michael Keaton. If you don't know who Michael Keaton is, the original Batman. Yes, there is a little bit of a metaphor there.
Well, I think it's definitely obvious what he's doing there. He's telling him, you don't have to act in this movie. You just have to be.
And so he plays a old washed-up actor, what do you know? An old washed-up actor who
starred in a series of fictitious superhero movies called
Birdman 1, 2, and 3, and he said no to 4, luckily. He had too much dignity for that.
Yeah.
And so right now he's washed up and he's trying to restart his career by... he's writing and directing and starring in a play on Broadway that he's trying. It's like this really
play based on a book, actually. Oddly enough,
a real book,
a short story that I've actually read.
A real short story.
A short story that I actually read, and I'm going to discuss that maybe later.
Yeah,
because that's actually very important to the movie.
It?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it seems like it tied in to me. I didn't actually read it, so.
I was in Mr. Hart's class. I was forced to read a lot of shit.
It
actually kind of helped me when I got out there into the world. But anyway, he's putting on this play.
Yeah, he's putting on this play, and it's kind of the struggles of all sorts of things, like his inadequacy of like being previously Birdman and like trying to do this really big thing, and just like the idea of leaving something behind and being important again.
Yeah, he wants to be in the public light again, but he doesn't want to be remembered for Birdman. He wants to be remembered for something that is what he considers to be genuine art, genuinely artistic.
Mm-hmm. And that being said, like the way the movie is shot, I think by far is the most impressive thing.
Yeah, that's the most impressive thing. Cinematography-wise, this is the most impressive thing I've seen all year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The way they shoot it from start to finish is they make it look. Now, obviously, there's a couple different things.
There's a couple of
hidden
edits.
Things, but
there's a couple of edits too.
But the way
genuine cuts.
Yeah, a couple cuts, but for the most part, the entire movie is made to look like it's one entire take. Like the camera never cuts; it's always floating around into different spaces.
But still manages to move forward in time.
Exactly.
It still goes over a couple of days. We'll look up into the sky and we'll see the sky fade from night to sky, and then it'll go back down.
But it never cuts. It never cuts away.
And that adds to the movie in a very interesting way because it keeps going. It keeps you on edge the entire time. Mm-hmm. And it keeps moving, and it's always going forward, and there came a point where I felt like it felt almost like a roller coaster in a weird sort of way, an emotional roller coaster.
Definitely, I agree with that for sure. And the movie definitely, like, it builds like a roller coaster. Like, you think a movie that you wouldn't think goes certain places, it does. I'm trying to keep it as, like...
I'm not going to say, but there's a decision they make at the end where I went, oh, wow, they went there.
Yeah.
They actually went there. And it was It was phenomenal in every way. The acting, the storytelling. Let's talk about the acting for a moment, because it seemed as though that he casted actors to very much play themselves. Edward Norton's known for being a method actor, so I wonder if he's big of a douche.
Edward Norton plays the actor who fills in at the last second, who's like this really good, like everyone's like, oh, he's so good. And he fills in at the last minute and turns out to be this crazy prima donna.
Oh,
and doing all these like crazy. He's like, at one point he says, somebody's asked like, "What are you lying right now?" Or he's like, "Are you telling the truth?" Or no, he's saying, "Are you lying right now?" And he's like, "Oh, I never lie on the stage or something."
No, he says
I can't remember
something. He says he never the only time he's not pretending is when he's on the stage.
Exactly. There we go. That's I never pretend. That's the only place I don't pretend.
And that's pretty much the only time this character is completely honest with himself in the world. Yeah. I think he is.
And he's not like a one-dimensional like douchebag either.
No, he's
very.
Not at all
the characters have a very like interesting dynamic.
Even the characters that you love are still do douchebaggy things.
Yeah, like
even the characters that you hate still manage to come around and do something nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like the way the whole movie is put together tonally, like there's this jazz.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack of these jazz drums
the soundtrack
in the background
also added to the feel.
This like free floating,
very much like Whiplash. It added a sense of pacing and tempo, and it kept the film going.
Definitely. And it had this sporadicness that the movie also had, like the way the drums. It was very jazzy, and so. It had like this sporadic craziness, which I felt like the movie also had in a way, but in like a good way. You know?
The movie's about theater, and jazz is very improv-y.
Yeah,
you can
definitely.
do improv jazz, so I think maybe that's where he was going with it.
Yeah,
maybe. But it added to the film in such a unique way.
Mm-hmm.
It kept it going. And it kept my heart racing the entire time.
Yeah.
Now, I have a negative about this movie.
Yeah.
I do, and I'm wondering how I should approach this.
Okay. Let's
if I have one negative about this movie, one negative at all. There is a scene where it's supposed to look like he's looking up into the sky and he's seeing basically like a scene from an action movie or seeing a scene from Birdman play, the movie within the movie. He's seeing images from that. I thought the special effects were a little bit off. It took me out of the movie for a brief moment, especially when he sees Birdman himself flying. It looked like he was on like a like a string.
When he floats,
he was like a marionette.
There's a couple moments in the film where he's floating. There's a couple of them that are done really well.
Yeah, see,
like the first one that they do in the very beginning.
Where
he's just kind of floating.
Oh yeah, he's just kind of floating in the middle of the room. And that was another weird thing about the movie that
there's definitely some strange, like, if you're not into, like, metaphor, there's a lot of metaphorical stuff.
Notice how we told this plot, and we completely forgot to mention that he has telekinetic powers, or at least thinks he does.
Yeah.
We somehow managed to
skip over
that, but he does. Throughout the movie, he sometimes starts making objects move with his mind, and he thinks he made one object in particular move, and change things about the story.
Yeah, there's some times where, and it's not just in his head, like, at least, like,
you start questioning yourself.
Yeah, he starts things start actually happening in the world around him.
You know what?
It's a question about his is it in his mind, or is it like
state,
is it this weird thing that's actually happening?
I'll say that it made me question whether or not he did have powers on occasion. So if it made me question it, I thought it was effective. I thought it worked. Like, it really added to the movie. I think everything in this movie built. This movie's more than just the sum of its parts. Yeah. It's like, and the parts are amazing, each and every one of them. There's so many little things. Like I was telling you earlier, how when the titles are disappearing, the last letters are AMORE, not ORE, AMOR, which is amor, which stands for love in Spanish, and then the play is called What Do We Talk About When We Talk About Love? And if you read the play, a lot of themes in the the short story that he's basing this play off. Yeah. The short story, there are a lot of themes that reflect themes in here, and I think that book might have been an inspiration for this movie.
Yeah, I think so. I think that
especially with the scene at the end. There's a scene that they discuss in the short story about a man who's in a full body casket, and it kind of mirrored the scene at the end I'm not gonna spoil it, but it mirrors a scene at the end, and it was very. I would need to see it again, but I'll say this much: the movie made me want to go back and reread the short story.
Yeah,
so I could figure out more.
It made me want to read the short story.
I want to go back and study this movie. I want to watch this movie over and over and over again, and that comes at my highest recommendation. I think any movie that I see over and over and over again,
it's not as simple. You're not going to walk out of the movie with the knot tied, everything just don't have to think about it again. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a movie that you're going to have to think about. People who like theater should go see it because there's definitely a lot of theater jokes in there.
Yeah.
As well as and it's just I don't know. I really liked there's a lot of depth in it
and this is a movie that I can legitimately recommend to people who aren't into art house cinema.
Yeah, because it's like art house for people who.
It's an action art house film.
Yeah,
I think because it's never. When most people think of art house film, they think of boring.
Yeah.
This film is never boring, and I think that's the point that I need to get across to people. This film is actually exciting because you're always on edge and always tense about what is gonna fuck up this play. Is he gonna make it? Is he actually gonna perform? Is he gonna stick it to the man? Is he gonna do it? You're really rooting for this guy, and it's really freaking fun to watch. So,
oh man,
want to give your rating?
My rating, oh man, it's a hard choice. There's a lot of pros, and I mean, there's a few things that obviously we've talked about down, but I'm gonna have to give it a golden drum set, one full-fledged golden drum set.
If I was to give this movie an award, I would give it. The golden erection. I will say no more.
Two golden trophies.
Two golden trophies for this movie. I think they deserve them.
Maybe they play the golden drum shit with their golden erection. I'm just throwing things out there.
Well, it was how the drummer was doing it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anyway, that's on that strange note. We're gonna leave you.
We're gonna end it. Goodbye.
Later.